127 to 125 is the final. So they win the final two games of the road trip. We welcome you into Warriors wrap-up here on 95.7 The Game. John Dickinson, good to be back with you here on The Game. Appreciate Alan Stiles for sitting in for me as I was sitting in for Guru on Monday. And we can get this thing kickstarted at 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. A lot to discuss in what has to be, to date, one of, if not the biggest Warriors win of the season. I think it's clearly the biggest road win of the season, considering everything that was at stake for the Warriors coming into it, with basically the 6th seed for the time being on the line, with the Warriors coming in at 37-36 and Dallas coming into this one at 36-36, and it was for the tiebreaker, being the third and final matchup between these two teams this season. And so if you win this game, you feel like you're in a pretty good spot as it pertains to 6th, with maybe even an opportunity to move up. You got a lot of other teams, which we'll get to here between now and pretty close to 9 o'clock here on 95.7 The Game as we keep this thing rolling, where some other teams in the West got victories, and the Warriors just a purposeful performance. It wasn't perfect, but I think it was one of the more smooth Warrior performances, with fewer of those moments that have been game wreckers, really, for this team, especially on the road. I mean, this is the kind of game that the Warriors have, for the most part, found ways to not win over the course of this season. But tonight they were able to do it, and they were able to do it with a lot of little contributions and a few big-time contributions from just about everybody among those who played in this game tonight, and it all adds up to a 127 to 125 victory for the Warriors over the Mavericks. So 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. It is John Dickinson here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. The Xfinity Mobile text line is open as well. We'll hear from Steve Kerr. We will hear from one of the Warriors stars of the game tonight as well, at least Jonathan Kuminga, who met with the media already downstairs inside America Airlines Center. He was tremendous in this one tonight, and the Warriors needed everything that he was able to give them in this game. Warriors trailed by 3 at the end of one. Second quarter, they outscored Dallas 35-30. Third quarter, 31-30. At the wild sequence there at the end of the third quarter, where there was an out-of-bounds play, and Dallas thought they had the ball. The official underneath the basket had initially pointed that it was going to be Warriors ball, and then he changed it to Dallas ball, and there was some confusion, I guess, to who was going to have the possession coming out of the timeout. And I'll get you the Mavs side of this, is they're filing a formal protest with the league as to that play, which wound up being Warriors inbounding it under the Dallas basket, which is where the ball went out of bounds, and it was ruled to be Warriors basketball, and the Mavs are saying they weren't properly notified of the call to be able to get back and defend it. So they were given a 2. It winds up being a 2-point game. We'll give you the quote from Mark Cuban on the protest and the official protest rules, as well, as that is something that hangs over this game as well, at least for the next couple of days. But all in all, Warriors get the win 127 to 125. And really, I mean, where do you even start? But I've got notes just jotted down about just about every player here on the roster. I'm going to start with Kuminga, because a lot of people have been on my case for the belief that I've been on Kuminga's case too much of the time. And I just have to say right out of the chute, excellent game from Jonathan Kuminga. 22 points, 9 of 11 shooting. The ball pressure on defense, he was defending Luka Doncic at times and really making him work and causing problems for him in his return after not playing here as of late. And it was just a high energy, high motor, high IQ type of a game from Jonathan Kuminga. But the most important aspect of what Kuminga did, and he was the Warriors' leading scorer in this game, was he did it in the context of the Warriors' offense. He did it with fitting his game in that box that we've talked about so much as to how does he figure out a way to play now and help this Warriors team win while also developing his game to be something that can be much greater as his career goes on. And I think where I've disagreed with some of the Warrior fan base is the belief that he should maybe be farther along or given more free rein to try and stretch his legs, spread his wings, improvise, whatever it is, to be able to be more of a playmaker. And I've said, well, no, he needs to fit his game right now in the context of a team that has championship aspirations, and that means defense, hustle, rebounding, running the floor. And tonight, for all of the people out there that are thinking tonight is a JD, I told you so type of a moment, JD, I told you about Kuminga, it's actually the opposite. This is actually a night where Kuminga did it in the exact ways that I've been saying he needs to do it to be able to help this team win. And he hit a couple of corner threes. He had 9 buckets tonight. And I mentioned the defense, and the defense is part of this because the defense was tremendous, but the defense also led directly to his offense tonight. And so he had 9 buckets in this one. He hit 2 corner threes, which were the proper shot to take, one from each corner, first half, with the Mavs sagging off of him, the ball movement leading to him getting the ball in the context of the play and taking that shot. Nothing forced about it. It's a good shot that was created and must be taken, and Kuminga really calmly realized, hey, this is a shot I should take, and he drilled them both from each of those corners. Ended up 2 of 3 from three-point range. He had 2 other buckets that came on steals and scores, where one was on a double where he ended up with the ball and just took it the other way and dunked it. The other one was via ball pressure to where he wound up on being able to finish the play again. 4 points there directly because of his defense. 4 other times he had cuts where it led to a layup or a dunk for him. And Curry had found him. Draymond had found him a couple of times in the second half. Looney found him for a dunk. Curry found him again later on. And then he got fouled on a cut and made a couple of really important free throws down the stretch, which wound up putting the Warriors ahead. Really, 8 of his 9 buckets tonight and 9 of his 10 scoring plays tonight, because he hit the 2 free throws that were critical, were without improvisation. It was high IQ, where do I need to be in the context of the offense, allowing me to fit my game in the box with the Steph Currys and the Draymond Greens and the Kevon Looneys. And I think that's the biggest step toward his ability to start figuring it out, in addition to the ball pressure and the high motor defense. So excellent game from Kuminga, but he did it the way that he has to do it if he wants to be a part of this team. That's not a statement as to what his future career can be, and if he has the opportunity to stretch his legs and spread his wings and become much more of a dynamic player. You saw one little taste of that on the drive from the left wing in the second half, where he was able to spin and finish. That was the only improvisational type of, getting in his bag a little bit type of a play. But he made 9 other plays, basically, of the 10 offensive plays he made tonight, were all context of the Warriors' offense and showing that he can be a piece that can fit on this team. I thought it was exceptional, and I thought it was the biggest statement yet as to what he has to do to help this team this season. And those have been the kinds of things that he has not done consistently enough to where when he has done it, Steve Kerr's put him out there and played him a lot. When he hasn't done it, Steve Kerr's gone away from him or gone to other players, and those other players have had to either pass or fail. So excellent work from Jonathan Kuminga. All right, before we continue, let's go ahead and pause here for our ID at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. All right, John Dickinson here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game, 888-957-9570. Warriors win 127-125 over the Mavs as they get the job done in this one. They win their second consecutive road game. They get to 38-36, so 2 games over 500 as they now return home for the next 4 and home for 5 of the last 8 before the Warriors wind up finishing up this season. The next 4, 5 of the last 8. The last 2 are on the road at Sacramento and Portland. And so, yeah, the Warriors in a position here where 5 of the next 6 are going to be on the Chase Center hardwood, but 5 of these last 8 overall. More thoughts on contributions from everybody. I'll also get you the details on the Mavs protest, as silly as that was, but a confusing play from the third quarter. But I do want to get to the phone lines, 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. We got the secret sauce of the game coming up as well. A lot to get into here between now and 9 o'clock on Warriors Wrap-Up, but we'll get it started with Anthony in Pleasant Hill here tonight on Warriors Wrap-Up. What's going on, Anthony?
Hey, what's going on, JD? Thanks for taking the call tonight. I just want to chime in on Kuminga a little bit. I totally agree with you. I think Kuminga is going to find his best success, working within the confines of the offense on this type of team. You could tell early on he was sort of getting caught up and getting in trouble when he was trying to do too much. So the last 2 games has been great. I think as a young player finding some confidence, and he's finding his confidence by playing hard on defense. So it sort of could be a blessing in disguise with Wiggins out, with him to gain this confidence. When Wiggins gets back, we'll probably have, a couple of good defenders and some good slashers. So, I spoke to you and Steiny last Friday. I hate to keep harping on the old news, but I sort of wish we could have did the same thing with Wiseman. Just kind of let him grow into this offense and grow into this team. But again, it is what it is. But I'm just so proud to see what Kuminga's doing. But thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. I mean, tonight is the template for how it needs to work. And look, nobody said that Kuminga can't score or can't, have an offensive impact on this team. It's just how do you do it? And tonight he did it in ways. And look, not every night's going to be 9 of 11. There's going to be nights where teams might take a couple of those cuts away. I think the Mavs, for all of the people they had out, and Kyrie Irving and everybody else, not a statement of, hey, the Mavs had players out. More for me, a statement of the Mavs are just not top to bottom a very athletic team. And so I think athletically, this is a good matchup for the Warriors because they're not the most athletic team. And so Kuminga really, I think, had some advantages that maybe he doesn't have against some other opponents. Like typically, I think we look at it as, well, you need athletes to go against athletes to go against other better athletes. Tonight was a night where actually Kuminga had an advantage because the Mavs are not an athletic team, whereas I think there's been other nights where Kuminga doesn't have the athletic advantage, as great an athlete as he is, and some of the other players he's going up against are more experienced, and that's where the results may be a little bit more hit or miss as far as he's concerned. But I think, you saw defensively, Dallas is just, they're terrible. And if you're patient, you can get what you want. You can hit them on the offensive boards, which the Warriors have had done to them a lot of different times this season. The Warriors were able to do some of the things that other teams have done to them to this Dallas Mavericks team. And I think a lot of it is because the Mavs physically just don't match up, especially after their trades with even a team like the Warriors, who often find themselves looking a little unathletic compared to some of the other teams out there. But either way, tonight's the template for what it has to look like for Kuminga. And if he does that, he can score at a high level efficiently and help this Warriors team. I mean, he didn't get 22 tonight. The Warriors may not win this game, and we're talking about, wow, this is another one of these L's that the Warriors have taken so many different times on the season. So a lot of other good things to get to, but I do want to get to Robin in San Francisco next here tonight on Warriors Wrap-Up. What's going on, Robin? How are you?
Hey, JD, I wanted to say I agree with you wholeheartedly about Kuminga, and of course everybody's going to go cuckoo, cocoa puff. Oh, he's the greatest thing since sliced peas. But let's just face it. I mean, his IQ showed up tonight, and consistency moving forward is the key. And like you said, I think, the cutting, the moving, with all of them, better shot selection. And actually, I think that Dallas's defense did not do such a bad job because, on them because the Stars didn't do so well tonight. I mean, they did great in terms of their floor plan. It seemed like Steph and them trusted the youngsters more, even Dre, to make the right cut. You could see a certain confidence. I'm not saying they're cohesive, they're chummy, but I did see a little trust level there. And the last thing I want to say, since everybody wants to always dog Jordan Poole, why don't you talk about his contribution tonight as well, because he got off too. Bye, you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Robin. Jordan Poole had his moments tonight where it was, oh my God, what's going on here? But Jordan Poole really helped the Warriors tonight. There's no doubt. And you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody, as you look up and down the box score, that didn't help the Warriors tonight in a game they ultimately win by 2. But Jordan Poole didn't make a 3, took a couple heat checks, didn't have a turnover in this game. But, yeah, he had 16 points and 6 assists. And he helped the Warriors on a night where they needed more balance in terms of the scoring department, in particular because of the way that the Mavs were defending the Warriors. And you're right, they were really trying to make Curry a passer in this game. They were trying to take Clay away in this game. And so, no, Jordan Poole, it was much more of a, as Steve Kerr mentioned on the ESPN telecast, it was much more of hit singles, be patient, be steady, kind of a game for the Warriors. Solid wins the game is what Steve Kerr was caught there in the mic'd up portion of the ESPN telecast. Solid wins the game, and I thought Poole was much more solid and calm, although he did have a couple of moments where you thought, are these going to be the key things that everybody's going to want to harp on if the Warriors don't win this game? I want to get to Steph and Clay and Draymond tonight, because on the surface you may say, oh, well, Steph Curry, 2 of 8 from 3. The Warriors won a game tonight where they were 12 of 39 from three-point range, and they won the game in part because of 18-second chance points. The points in the paint are the real thing. The Warriors were at 66 points in the paint on 33 of 44 shooting, so it was getting into the paint that was critical for the Warriors. But I thought Steph Curry just controlled the game tonight with his passing, with his just command. And yeah, he had his 13 assists, 3 turnovers, 20 points. He drove to the basket. Steph tonight was 7 of 10 himself from 2-point range, and the Warriors needed that balance and that playmaking ability. I mentioned he was the guy who found Kuminga. Kuminga was the guy that basically Dallas was trying to help off of, and they were daring Kuminga to make the right basketball play, and they were daring Curry and Draymond and Looney and others to find him, and the Warriors carved him up by doing that tonight. So yeah, a nod to Jordan Poole without a doubt, Robin, and a nod to Steph Curry for commanding the game in this one. I mean, Draymond Green was just tremendous defensively down the stretch. Again, I think Draymond tonight, athletically, with the Mavs a little bit more challenged than some of these other teams we see the Warriors play across the league on a night-in, night-out basis. Draymond had that playoff Draymond, I want this game mentality, but he also physically looked like he had the ability to do it. I mean, the ball movement tonight was terrific from the Warriors, but Draymond's ability to just, stopping Luka there at the end when, the Mavs were probably going for a 3, but Draymond not only forced them to get Luka for the 2 on the interior, but then is able to stand him up and defend him as he went up for the shot there to try and cut it down and miss the shot, and the Warriors end up getting the rebound there, up 3, and then Kevon Looney's able to go to the free throw line and basically end the game as the Warriors were up 5 before the Mavs cut it down to 2 with that last-second 3 at the buzzer. But I also want to give Klay Thompson a little bit of a nod, because Klay only took 9 shots tonight. And you know what? I think you got to applaud Klay Thompson for just that. He only took 9 shots. And tonight was a night where he was 1 of 4 from 3, but he was patient, I thought, in this game. Defensively at times, it was a struggle for Klay Thompson, but Klay wasn't looking to be the guy that had to shoot it 18 to 20 times tonight. And if this was a night where he rushes a couple of shots that don't go in, maybe the Mavs are getting down and having a few leak outs going the other way, and there's a couple of more easy baskets up on the board to where the Warriors find themselves in a lot more trouble than they were. And so I give Klay Thompson in his 35 minutes a nod for being 4 of 9 from 3-point range and not having a 4 of 9 turn into a 6 of 15 or 7 of 18 type of a night. Because you know what? Frankly, some of those shots that Klay could have taken that might have been misses wound up being Kuminga dunks or layups in the context of the offense, which are better, more high percentage shots for the Warriors here. And they're also shots that allow the Warriors to at least have a better chance to try and defend this Dallas Mavericks team. So 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. John Dickinson here on Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game as the Warriors get the win 127-125. I do want to let everybody know about the protest angle of this. And there was the play in the third quarter where Dallas thought they had the ball, but they let the Warriors throw it in for a layup. Now, Steve Kerr had said that he thought it was Warriors' ball. The Mavs clearly thought it was their ball, or that they weren't notified properly or given enough time to defend the play. And the ref did have it as Dallas ball and then quickly changed it. So the original call, I believe, was Dallas ball, and then he very quickly motioned at the timeout to go, no, Warriors ball underneath that Dallas basket. And then they went to commercial and came back, and I've got the running box score come out, and originally on the ESPN feed, nobody even saw the basket. Like nobody even the bucket was on the board, but nobody knew really what happened. So they had to go back and double back and explain what exactly had happened. Well, here is the statement on the Mavs protest, and Shams had this first of The Athletic and Stadium. The Mavs plan to file a formal protest of the loss to the Warriors tonight with the focus on alleged referee mistake that led to 2 free Warriors points late in the third quarter. Now, Mark Cuban, the owner of the Mavs, he let everybody know the team stance on this. And Cuban writes, and I'm quoting via his Twitter and social media, Cuban writes, "For those wondering about the play with 1:54 to go in the third, let me explain what happened. The ref called Mavs ball, which was true initially. The announcer announced it." He's talking the PA announcer in the arena. "Then there was a timeout." Now, here's where it gets a little bit off script from what I had seen. Cuban says during the timeout, the official changed the call and never told us, meaning the Mavs. Now, maybe the Mavs didn't see it. Maybe there should have been a clarification. I don't know, but the ref did. It was one of those, my bad, I pointed the wrong way. Because initially he pointed Mavs ball and then immediately turned and pointed back that it was still going to be Warriors ball. But it was one of those, like, where you ever see sometimes the ref points the wrong direction, or just he gets it twisted in his head and makes a mistake and quickly is like, my bad, it's actually going this way. And so he did that, but the Mavs are saying they weren't notified. And so Cuban goes on to write, when they saw us line up as if it were our ball, he just gave the ball to the Warriors. Never said a word to us. They got an easy basket. Crazy that it would matter in a 2-point game. And then he goes on, worst officiating non-call mistake probably in the history of the NBA. I think we've heard Mark Cuban use that kind of language at other times in his career and tenure as owner of the Mavs. All they had to do was tell us, and they didn't. And so the formal protest will be made by the Mavs. I think, and look, who knows what types of documentation and or video evidence will have to be noted here. But one thing that was shown on the ESPN broadcast was the fact, and again, maybe there should have been more of a communication by the official coming out of the timeout. And maybe it was one of those where the officials thought they had already made the notification before the timeout. Maybe they should have gotten it to the table, meaning the officials, to where the PA announcer could announce, no, it's Warriors ball here coming out of the timeout. I don't know what happened there, but I also think there's got to be a certain level of defiance on the Mavs' part, because if the Mavs were going to have the ball, they would have at least had somebody to throw the ball in, and probably Luka Doncic or somebody to receive the inbounds pass to bring the ball up the court. And so, why weren't you? The ball would have been thrown in on that end underneath their basket, no matter what, even if it had been Mavs ball. So something is a little bit of a miss there. As far as the rules of filing a protest, and this comes from Bobby Marks of ESPN, the former GM of the Nets. One, the protest must be filed within 48 hours after the conclusion of the game. Sounds like the Mavs are going to do that. There's a $10,000 protest fee. Didn't know that. Refunded if successful. So we know Cuban can make that call and pay that freight if need be. And then Dallas has the onus here on Dallas for you legal minds. The onus is on Dallas within 5 days to provide evidence. So evidence basically that they weren't properly notified that it should have been that they weren't notified that it was going to be Warriors ball, basically, even though there was a pretty quick overturn on the video evidence. So we'll see what Dallas can conjure up as far as evidence in this thing. Seems a little flimsy. And then the final point is the decision of the commissioner comes 5 days after the receipt of the evidence. And I read another note that basically in the last 70 years, there's been 44 attempts. Anyway, and 6 successful in the last 70 years. So we'll do some digging on that. But again, it comes down to, quote, the decision of the commissioner. And so Adam Silver says, yay or nay, this is the way this thing plays out, and we move on from there, from that point. And it did wind up being a 2-point game. Maybe if Bullock misses that 3 at the buzzer, it's a 5-point game, and the league can claim moot point. But it ended up being a 2-point game, and that bucket, I guess you could make the case, wound up being the difference. But for those that didn't know and were unaware of everything that was going on, I figured we'd keep you updated on that. I would imagine that the Mavs will not be able to have the clear evidence that would cause some semblance of a replay or a do-over or a game extension or something like that in a game between now and the end of the regular season. All right, 888-957-9570. Let's get to Tony and Alameda, and then we'll pause here. We'll come back with the secret sauce. We'll come back with our hardest working player. That's all between now here and 9 o'clock on 95.7 The Game. What's going on tonight, Tony?
Yes, hi. Good evening. Listen, you're talking about this referee tonight. I never seen so much bad calls tonight in a game, like especially on the second half. And despite that, we got a freebie there, the 2 points, the inbound there, and Lamb, he got shoved and he fell. That was a foul already, and I think it was 45-50 where Jordan Poole, he was fouled there. Instead, he got the foul. And there's more foul in there that really got me all stressed out tonight. It seems like it was 6 against 5 tonight. You got this referee in there. I don't know. Sometimes maybe it's a home cooking or not, but it's just thank God we won this game. And I would give this the secret sauce tonight. I would say Looney making those 2 free throws at the end. Just imagine that one there. If he missed those and they made the 3-point, I think it was like 1.5 seconds left. You never know. It would have been tied. Okay? Thank you for taking my call.
You got it, Tony. Appreciate it as always. 888-957-9570. I know there were a lot of Warrior fans that were frustrated with Luka Doncic getting to the free throw line 10 times, and I think all 10 were in the first half, if memory serves here. But fortunately for the Warriors, Luka missed 4 of them, and that proved to be pretty significant, and the Mavs missed 8 of their 28 free throw attempts. And the Warriors did get to the line enough, I think, to where it leveled out enough in conjunction with the second chance points and all the points in the paint. Basically, the Warriors got whatever they wanted on the interior when they were patient enough to take it. And the Warriors were, for the most part tonight, patient enough offensively to take it. There were very few lulls where they got overly three happy in this game. And when they did, the one guy that you could make the case might have been a little three happy in this game was DiVincenzo. He took 10, but he made 4. And so, it wound up being a good night in terms of the makes, and he made a couple of key ones that the Warriors absolutely had to have. But for the most part, you look at the assist totals, 33 assists for the Warriors on 50 makes, led by Curry, 13 for him, 8 for Draymond, 6 for Poole, and the key here, Xfinity Mobile text line, 415, the key is the no turnovers from Jordan Poole in this one. So 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. One more before the break here. Why not? Let's fit in Luke Mann in Fairfield before we pause. Luke Mann, you're on Warriors Wrap-Up here on 95.7 The Game.
Thanks for taking my call, brother. I just want to say Kuminga is our future. Just the way he's been playing the last 5 to 6 games has been everything that all of us fans have seen in flashes, but now it's really coming together like a beautiful picture. If he just really keeps this up consistently, including coming off the bench, we will be scary in the playoffs. I can't wait. As long as we just keep this positive momentum rolling through, we got it in our hands. Thanks for taking my call, JD. Thank you.
Thanks, Luke, man. I mean, for one night, and again, good matchup, whatever. Warriors found it, end of a trip. The Warriors, they handled business, and they had a number of different players fit their game into that box where it was just, there were just fewer just gut punch negative plays for the Warriors tonight. And I think that wound up proving to be the difference. All right, 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. All right, we got a lot of things to do here between now and 9 o'clock. We got the secret sauce. We got the hardest working player. We're going to hear from Steve Kerr, and the Poole report is out from Dallas as to the officials being asked about what happened on the play that is being protested by the Mavs. So we've got all of that coming up. Still time for some phone calls. 888-957-9570. Warriors get the win 127-125. You heard it right here at 95.7 The Game.
Need weekend plans to get spring ready? Make Lowe's your weekend destination this spring with Weekending at Lowe's. Stop by for free activities and workshops, including our upcoming Raised Garden Bed Workshop. This month, we're celebrating with fun events like Springfest Egg Venture, where you can enjoy Easter treats for the whole family. Visit Lowe's.com/
final 2, and 5 of the last 8, 5 of the next 6, including the next 4, Philadelphia, Minnesota, the Pelicans, and the Spurs to close out March, are going to be at Chase Center, where the Warriors have been hot. 8 consecutive wins on the home floor for the Warriors, and so they get the win over the Mavs. They stay in 6th for now, but they're only a half game back of the Clippers now currently, who lost last night to OKC. They play OKC tomorrow, again down in Los Angeles, and the Clippers are going to be without Paul George, reevaluated after the knee injury from last night in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So he's probably out for the rest of the regular season. And currently the Clippers would have the tiebreaker over the Warriors, and it's looking likely that the Clippers end up with the tiebreaker over the Warriors. It's based, if it's those two, on divisional record. The Warriors actually have the advantage in conference record, but divisional record's the first tiebreaker for 2 teams within the same division. And the Clippers are 7-7 in the division with 2 games to go. The Warriors are 6-9 in the division with 1 game to go at Sacramento in a couple of weeks, the second to last game of the season. So in case you're wondering about that Clipper-Warrior tiebreaker with the season series being split at 2 games apiece, it's divisional record, which, again, the Warriors would have to win their last game in Sacramento and have the Clippers lose their last 2 games to wind up tied. The best the Warriors could do is tied in terms of divisional record with the Clippers, and then it would obviously kick if that's tied to conference record where the Warriors would have the advantage. But long ways to go still, and everything's so jumbled up that it could change about 50 different times probably between now and when we hit the airwaves for Warriors Live on Friday night at Chase before the Warriors take on Philly. But for the moment, 5th is back on the table for the Warriors. That's the main point, and you could even make a case, we'll see what happens. Suns are trailing the Lakers down in Southern California. You could make a case the Warriors are in play for the 4 seed even still, just a game and a half back there. But the Suns also would have the tiebreaker, and that's for sure over the Warriors. But Golden State still only a game and a half in. They're a game and a half from being out. So you lose 3 in a row, 2 in a row, everything can change. But if the Warriors can get hot, win 3 or 4 here on this homestand, they will still have a shot to elevate themselves into that conversation, potentially for 4th, depending upon what Phoenix does, and definitely 5th, depending on what the Clippers do. The trends have been Warriors go home. Warriors obviously play much better basketball, so this could be a little bit of that mini run that we've been talking about and waiting for here for the last couple of months. All right, 888-957-9570. 888-957-9570. JD here, Warriors wrap up a 95-7 the game. I want to tie up the conversation as far as this Mavs protest. So I went back during the break and rewatched the play again. Late third quarter, ball goes out of bounds under the Warriors, the basket the Warriors are shooting at. And I'm looking at the official here. The official immediately calls Warriors ball out of bounds and then points the other direction. And Kevon Looney, when the ref points the other direction toward, which would indicate Mavs ball, Looney clearly thought that's what it was. He argued with the ref, like, what's going on for a moment, and it looks like the ref explained it to Looney, but Looney was shaking his head as he went to the bench. The pool report is out. This via Tim Cato of The Athletic in Dallas, who interviewed crew chief Sean Wright, got to ask him one question, as is the case whenever there's a referee issue. And the question was, why was possession given to the Warriors on that play after it was originally signaled to be the Mavs? And Wright says, initially on the floor, the original signal was, in fact, Golden State ball, as can be seen on video. That is confirmed by the video I just watched. He did signal Golden State ball first. There is a second signal, which we also just laid out for you, but that signal, according to Sean Wright, is the signal for the mandatory timeout that was due to the Mavs. So the out-of-bounds play triggered the timeout. The signal down toward the Mavs bench, the opposite end of the floor, was to signal that timeout, which apparently that is what confused the Mavs. The one thing that I still can't come back to, and I guess the PA announcer in-house announced Mavs ball, which I think also created the confusion. That's at least what Mark Cuban alleges. But it's pretty clear on the video that what the official said after the game is consistent with what the video shows. And so the thing that I still can't come up with in all of this is, even if the Mavs thought it was their ball, they should have been on that end of the floor where the ball went out of bounds to take it out of bounds and bring it up the court. And so the notion that it was going to be Dallas ball on the other end of the floor is idiotic, and I almost feel like the Mavs should lose the protest on that alone. But with the onus being on Dallas to prove that the officials somehow screwed up, I don't think they've got the video evidence, because the initial point is Warriors ball by the official, and I think he can plausibly say, hey, I was signaling for the mandatory timeout as that second point, which was going the other way. And so, could the officials given the Mavs a little more leeway to, hey, you're down here, that case I think remains to be seen. But again, the onus in this is on the Mavs to prove it. So interesting, but I don't see this one getting overturned, folks. I don't see that protest getting upheld. And regardless, the Warriors get the big win here tonight, 127-125. All right, let's get to the secret sauce of the game. Why did the Warriors win? Why did they lose? What was the deciding factor? And the secret sauce of the game brought to you by Proposition Chicken. Fried, flipped, fake. This chicken goes 3 ways, now available in 8 Bay Area locations, with the newest one being in Novato. And tonight it was all about paint points for the Warriors and ball movement leading to those paint points. The 33 assists on 50 makes. It was 33 assists, and the Warriors had 33 makes on the interior. 66 points in the paint. The Mavs are not good defensively. They were trying to take the 3 ball away from the Warriors. They were trying to make Steph into a passer, and Steph took exactly what the defense gave the Warriors and made the Mavs pay. And he made them pay by driving and getting to the basket to the tune of 7-10. I know Warrior fans are ticked, thinking he got bumped and should have been at the line more, and Luka gets breathed on and it's a foul, and he's still probably shooting free throw. I get that. But Curry masterfully handled this game and controlled this game. And so paint points and ball movement. You look at the assist totals. Curry 13 with 3 turnovers. Draymond 8 assists. He had 3 turnovers. Poole 6 assists and no turnovers. So the primary ball handlers for the Warriors in this one, you look at Draymond with Steph and Poole, and it's 27 assists. 27 assists and 6 turnovers. You'll take that. You'll take the 20. You'll take the 4-to-1, 4.5-to-1 assist to turnover ratio if it's leading to as many paint points as the Warriors got tonight. So that, your secret sauce of the game, brought to you by Proposition Chicken. Again, fried, flipped, fake. This chicken goes 3 ways, now available in 8 Bay Area locations, with the newest one being in Novato. And a big-time nod to Jonathan Kuminga, who was making himself available on cuts, fitting his game into that box that I've so often talked about, to be able to help this team win and do it and score and be efficient in doing so. He was terrific tonight. I think tonight was Jonathan Kuminga's best game of the season, based on the ball pressure defense and based on the basketball IQ he showed to be able to roll with everything, basically. I mentioned the 10 plays that he made, the 10 buckets, if you count the 2 free throws as one of the buckets. 9 of the 10 were either based on as direct proportion of 2 steals that were dunks, or plays that were made because he was in the right spot in the Warriors offense to allow those buckets to be made easily and effectively. So 888-957-9570. Let's go ahead and hear from the head coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, as he addressed Kuminga's big game and the Warriors getting a couple of road wins in a row here following this one in Dallas.
You see as the biggest factor in your team down the down stretch?
I thought we got some key stops. I thought Draymond was incredible down the stretch defensively. Offensively, he sealed his guy on Steph's layup with 8 seconds left, which was a brilliant play. But I just thought we got key stops when we needed to down the stretch.
past rookie Jake Martin.
He was terrific. We knew he would play quite a bit, especially with Kyrie out, but also with Hardaway out. I thought Hardy kept them in the game. Luka is always amazing, but for him to come back and play 41 minutes after not playing for a couple of weeks, it's pretty remarkable, but he had to have some help out there. And it felt like we were right there to pull away several times, but somehow, they kept hanging in there. I thought a lot of it had to do with Hardy and his play.
Let me talk about the final 9 games and kind of the playoffs. That sort of desperation you guys are playing with down the stretch, and what did you just play about that level?
We have to treat every game now like it's a playoff game because it's basically what it is. We're fighting with 7 other teams trying to jockey for either playoff position or an actual playoff berth or a play-in berth, depending on how it all plays out. And I think last week, and we spoke about how much every game matters now and how our guys just have to go out and compete and play. And, we're down a lot of players right now with injuries. And I was really inspired just watching guys come off the bench and play well. Kuminga was amazing tonight. JaMychal Green gave us huge minutes off the bench. Lamb, Moses, JP made some big plays. So it's great. Guys are competing and they're fighting.
Could you summarize, Jonathan?
Probably the best 5-game stretch of his career because the game is looking like it's becoming simpler for him and easier somehow. He's more at ease with himself on the floor at both ends. And so it's fun to watch. It's hard for young guys to come into this league and pick up everything that's being thrown at them. But he's done that. And, here we are near the end of his second year. And he's just dramatically better than he was when he first arrived. So testament to him and his work ethic and his resilience in the face of, a lot of adversity, a lot of difficult, ups and downs.
Coach, talk about the comp to come out on the road and to win 2 big road games. You think you guys are kind of over that hump,
Oh, we're hot now. We are hot. We're road warriors. So now we knew we had to win these last 2 games. That's how we felt, given that everybody is just jockeying for position and we've got some tough games coming up and we play the Sixers next, Minnesota after that. So we've got really difficult games coming up and playing against a team that we were basically tied with in the standings tonight. Desperately needed it. I thought they were great, playing without Hardaway, without Kyrie. I thought Dallas was fantastic. They were, well prepared and they defended like crazy and gave us a lot of trouble, but we pulled it out.
Coach, sorry, real quick before you go. You talked about pregame how Andrew Wiggins, you hope to get him back, but there's not much certainty to that. It seems like it's been a real group effort for the team to kind of rally around in this kind of absence. What have you seen from your end, at least from your locker room, how guys have kind of dealt with the situation? Obviously, very sensitive situation, but just from a basketball standpoint, how they kind of rallied around his absence.
We love Wiggs. He's a huge part of our team. He's a great player, but he's a great human being. He's just a great teammate. I love coaching him. And so anytime you see one of your guys struggling, dealing with something, all you can do is just support that player and give him space. And that's what we've tried to do. But our players and our coaches, front office, we're all, thinking about Wiggs every day. And if he comes back, great. And if he doesn't come back, that's fine too. We just want to make sure that he's in a good place, taking care of his family, and we'll see how it plays out.
Sorry, late in the third, there was that timeout. You guys come back, Dallas on the other end.
Yeah.
You get the easy basket. I mean, what was your read on that situation?
Number one, it was my best ATO of the year. It worked brilliantly. Just the way we got organized and confused them. I had to stop, and when I saw them at the other end, I had to stop and think, wait, isn't this our basket? Because I had drawn up a play for an out of bounds, underneath, baseline out of bounds. And when they were down at the other end, I had to stop and think, is this right? And so I don't know what happened. You'd have to ask their side. I thought it was pretty clear that it was our ball, and that's why I was drawing up a play, out of bounds on the baseline. But they all lined up at the other end. I guess they assumed it was their ball.
Yeah, and it looks as if they did assume it was their ball. I think their argument is that there was some confusion, again, as we had the back and forth as to the initial call by the official, which was Warriors ball, and then the point toward the other direction, which was for the mandatory timeout, as explained by the crew chief in that pool report. But Steve Kerr there, the best ATO of the year. I think that's a fact. Kevon Looney just smiling and taking his dunk. Looney gets the benefit of that particular situation, and it winds up being a 2-point play and what ends up being a 2-point game. And the Warriors will take it. Consecutive road wins for the second time this season. First time on the same trip for the Warriors that they've done it consecutively. They did have that 3-2 trip back in January, but the Warriors did win 2 road games consecutively. They just did it 10 days apart and on a different trip, back January 20th at Cleveland and then January 30th at Oklahoma City. The Warriors won back-to-back road games, and they do it here now with just 3 games to go on the road as they win tonight over the Dallas Mavericks. So 38-36 for the Warriors. And really, again, everybody making a contribution in this one for Golden State. And I think Kerr got it right tonight with the lineups down the stretch. I know for all the nights, and this could have been one of them, we had a texter, Xfinity Mobile text line, who said, AJD, if the Poole has a couple turnovers or if Clay takes a couple more bad shots, this game looks an awful lot like just about every Warriors close game road loss of the season. And we're talking about who didn't finish and all this other stuff. Well, when you finish this game in a win, I think you have to also acknowledge the fact that Kerr got it right tonight. DiVincenzo was the right play over Poole tonight down the stretch, even though Poole did contribute. DiVincenzo as a glue guy, because the 3-guard lineups were not working. Steph, Clay, Poole, those 3-guard lineups have been a little problematic defensively for the Warriors, and you lack some size there. So DiVincenzo to complement Steph and Clay. And then tonight, Kuminga flat out earned the opportunity to finish the game and play 30 minutes. I mean, he was exceptional. He was one of the Warriors, 2 or 3 best players on the floor tonight. You could make a case he was their best player on the floor tonight. He was absolutely their leading scorer. And so, that was kind of an easy one for him to finish the game over Looney. And so it worked. They got the win. And, you got to give Steve Kerr the nod, as much as we may not have done that had this game gone a different way. So let's get to our hardest worker of the game, which is, as always, brought to you by AC Transit.
Curry on the logo. Dribbling, guarded by Bullock. Here comes Draymond. Shot clock at 8, game clock at 14. Curry gets Kleber on a switch. Goes right side on him. Dribbles all the way. A screen by Draymond, and Curry gets a layup. Draymond with an outstanding screen. Sealed off the defender, and it was a clear path for Curry right to the rim. And the Warriors lead 125-122. Timeout Mavs. 8.5 to go. The intelligence of Draymond Green. He saw the play happen in front of his eyes, went down and sealed off his man, and once Curry beat Kleber, it was all over them.
Draymond Green, and Sterling, feel free to chime in on this one. Draymond Green looked like Trent Williams on that play. Like, he looked like Trent Williams sealing a hole for Christian McCaffrey to break off a 45, 50-yard run. It's it was just like, wow, look at that. I mean, it looked like a jailbreak, the hole you could drive a truck through, and Curry was able to drive all the way to the basket for that one. And, Draymond, our hardest working player of the game for tonight, brought to you by AC Transit. AC Transit, of course, looking for hard workers and offering a $2,000 bonus for new bus operators and journey-level mechanics to join their team. For complete details and to apply, visit actransit.org/careers. That's actransit.org/careers. Draymond Green and his 14 points to go with 4 boards but 8 assists. He was in foul trouble but didn't foul out. Had the big defensive stop against Luka late. 3 steals for Draymond tonight, and he was just active and intense and a winner in a big-time way for the Warriors in a game that they absolutely have to have. And now, as we do Every night the Warriors win a game or win a couple of games. Typically it's been at home. You win 2 in a row, you start looking at the standings and thinking there has to be the potential to move up. And hey, 4's not off the table, but you have to make sure you come home and not have a letdown in what can be a difficult home game. That first game back off a road trip. And look, the Sixers are no joke coming into Chase. They had run down Boston as Boston had fallen out of the top spot. Philly actually for a moment had passed the Celtics, who won last night in Sacramento to regain the 2 seed. But the Sixers are 9-1 in their last 10 games and are going to come into Chase with that 49-23 record. And so all eyes on Chase Center for that one, as Philly won in Chicago on their road trip, as they'll head out to the Bay and play the Warriors on Friday night as part of an Eastern trip. And all eyes are going to be on all of these teams in the West glut that are facing each other, and the teams behind the Warriors tonight putting a little pressure on Golden State as well, as you look at Minnesota able to eke out a win tonight. Utah did get beat at home by Portland, and so Portland's basically out of it. So as far as making sure you're in the play-in tournament, that's looking really good. This is a game the Lakers really need tonight, as they have the lead on Phoenix at 80-73, as that game is coming up on the end of the third quarter down in Southern California. And again, big one with the Clippers and OKC. Again, they play for a second time in 3 days tomorrow night. And all of these teams going to be battling each other. The Thunder are playing the Lakers. You've got Phoenix is going to be playing the Clippers here coming up. Sacramento's playing Phoenix. Philly plays in Phoenix the night after they play the Warriors. And so a lot of this, Pelicans are coming to play the Clippers. A lot of these teams facing each other. It's going to be a wild, wild next 4 days here, with Minnesota coming out to the West to play the Kings and the Warriors. And so things can change very quickly, as we've seen throughout the NBA playoff picture. All right, that's going to do it for me. Big thanks to all the callers and all of the texters. Great stuff by one and all. I'm John Dickinson. Join me again back at Chase Friday night for Warriors Live, Warriors and the Sixers, as we get that 4-game homestand to close out March tipped off. Warriors Live at 6. With yours truly, and then we'll be talking about it after the ball game as well. Thanks to Sterling Bennett. Thanks to everybody in our San Francisco studios. Big win for the Dubs. They get it done tonight, 127-125 over the Mavs, and you heard it right here. Your home for Warriors basketball is 95-7 The Game. Good night.
Whitey here, inviting you to Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill Saturday, March 25th, when JD and I broadcast live from 1 to 4 p.m. for their Red Tag clearance sale. Take advantage of one-of-a-kind opportunities on floor models and factory direct pricing. See us Saturday, March 25th, 1 to 4 at Friedman's Appliance.
Investing is confusing. Dawn raids, triple witching hour, candlesticks, crown jewels.